Good evening and welcome to the May 24th, 2016 public meeting of the Princeton Public Schools Board of Education. Mrs. Kennedy, would you please call the roll?
Andrea Spalla.
Here.
Patrick Sullivan.
Here.
Betsy Calvert-Baglio.
Here.
Molly Crine.
Here.
Justin Doran.
Here.
Tom Hagedorn.
Here.
Daphne Kendall.
Here.
Fern Sproul.
Here.
Connie Witter.
Here.
Evelyn Spahn.
Here.
Maddie Norman.
Here.
Nick Pibble.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion for the adoption of the minutes from the meetings of April 26, 2016? Justin, second. Molly, thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none. All in favor? Yep. Any abstentions? Abstentions? Fern, thank you. You got that? So it was all yes except for Fern, and she abstained.
That's what I'm grabbing my phone to check.
We can look at the agenda. Here. Here, we can look at the agenda.
I believe.
Oh, this is the,
I think it was just Fern,
I
because
think,
I think
you were
there.
here,
Yeah.
Evelyn.
Yeah. Yeah. That's okay.
Okay, moving on. Because we have a long agenda and we have a lot of people here who I know are interested in speaking to the board. During our first public comment section, I will dispense with the board president's report for today and hand the meeting over to the superintendent.
Thank you, Ms. Spalla. Good evening, everyone. Welcome. It has been said that school years never wind down. They always...
It's red.
Can you hear me now? Very good. Welcome once again. It's been said that school years never wind down, they always wind up. And that is certainly the case in Princeton, where we are enjoying a host of activities in these final weeks of school. I want to thank our students, our staff, for all the time and talent that's being devoted to concerts, to art shows, to athletic events, dramatic presentations, as well as to engaging lessons and projects at every grade level. We have multiple field trips taking place across the district, from Gettysburg for our 5th graders to Stony Brook Watershed, where our 6th graders are engaged this week in environmental education. I think the 8th grade regatta takes place tomorrow as students test the floatability of cardboard boats they designed and built by attempting to row them across the GW pool. We are also preparing for award ceremonies, our 5th grade moving on ceremonies, 8th grade graduation for JW, and finally the graduation of our seniors from Princeton High School. A quick update on logistics for high school graduation. At this point, we are still looking at 3 different options. Option A, the one we hope for, is beautiful weather with graduation following the tradition of being held on the front lawn of the high school at 5:30. Option B, if the weather is rainy but not excessively hot, graduation would be inside. Graduates and some family members would be in the gym. We would also telecast the event to the auditorium and the cafeteria, both of which are air-conditioned venues. Option C, if the weather is both rainy and excessively hot, the plan would be to hold graduation the following morning, June 21st at 10 a.m. on the front lawn. This was the plan that was discussed here at the board meeting, I believe, in February. Since February, however, we have installed a huge fan in the ceiling of the gym with a 20-foot diameter. The students present here tonight will have seen that fan. We will be testing the cooling effect of the fan this Thursday, as it's predicted to be one of the first hot and humid days of the year. So we'll have an opportunity to see if the refurbishing we did to the air handling unit on the roof of the gym, together with the fan itself, will have a positive impact on air circulation. We'll have several hundred students in the gym for an event that Thursday. We'll have devices there for measuring both heat and humidity. And if the air circulation is good and conditions in the gym are tolerable, it will help us decide if we can eliminate option C, the option of holding graduation the next morning on June 21st. Health and safety will continue to be our first priority, but we are aware that option C may present logistical difficulties for some of our families who would have to take a day off of work to attend a Tuesday graduation, or who may need to make alternative arrangements for out-of-town relatives. We'll make a final determination, we hope, this Friday, and graduation information will go home from the high school early next week. An update on 2 of our searches. First, the search for our humanities supervisor. We had 85 applications for this position of humanities supervisor at the high school. We pre-screened a dozen or so, and the search committee, which met a few weeks ago, interviewed 6. The committee recommended 3 finalists, all excellent, who I had the pleasure of interviewing late last week. I'm excited about the candidate I'll be recommending to the board, but we'll have to wait until next month for that official announcement, as we still need to connect with the finalists who were not recommended. So we're right up against the deadline here, but we should have all the information for us by the next meeting. The Riverside principal search. We had more than 175 applicants for this position. The search committee interviewed 7 and moved forward 3 finalists for me to see. I met last week with all 3, was deeply impressed with each one. The next step in the process is one that I discussed yesterday with our personnel committee, and one I would like to see used in any search we may do for a building principal. It is a process that honors the school as a community by helping to engage more people and multiple stakeholders. The process is actually one we used in this district when we selected the principal for JW, and would involve having the 3 finalists meet informally with faculty and staff, and then also with a group of parents. The candidates would introduce themselves, share a bit of their vision, and then answer questions. Participants would then have an opportunity to confidentially provide me with feedback. Mr. Goldstein and I are looking to facilitate this process in the next 10 days or so, with the hope of making a final recommendation to the board for the meeting in June. And the last item I wanted to speak about tonight was diversity. I had the privilege last Friday of presenting at a conference in New York on diversity in education. I was joined by my superintendent colleagues from West Windsor Plainsboro and from Hopewell, and together the 3 of us shared the planning that led to the countywide Day of Dialogue this past February, in which teams of students and staff from the 15 high schools in Mercer County came together to share the power of diversity in their schools as well as the problems. Although I was a presenter at the workshop, I also was a listener. I listened as experts shared the negative impact of poverty and of unconscious bias, both by individuals and institutions. I also listened as gifted educators spoke about the positive impact of close and caring relationships that bring people together across racial and cultural divides. I continue to believe we are blessed with tremendous diversity in this community, and that we need to celebrate that diversity and also ensure that every family is engaged with our schools. One exciting idea that grew out of the most recent meeting of the action team focused on closing the achievement gap was the creation of an Office of Diversity and Outreach for the Princeton Public Schools. The coordinator of such an office would work with all the parent liaisons throughout the district to ensure we had a plan for celebrating the diversity within our schools, and also a plan for enhancing our responsiveness as students and as educators to different cultures, races, and religions. The office would also reach out to families who have felt traditionally disenfranchised from the schools or who just have difficulty accessing the complexity of our system. The office would reach out as well to the many organizations who share a common goal of supporting all of the students and families in Princeton. The idea of an Office of Diversity and Outreach will be one that is presented more fully in the fall as part of our strategic plan, and will be discussed next year with the board and the public as we build our budget. For now, I want to re-emphasize our district's commitment to celebrating and supporting diversity, and I want to ensure, particularly our Spanish-speaking families and all those who care about them, that we will be filling the position of parent liaison and outreach coordinator currently held by Nina Lovato at the middle school. Nina is retiring at the end of this year, but her work will continue, and our support as a district will continue to grow. Thank you.
Thank you. That was discussed in closed session because it involves confidential student information. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you. Board committee reports. Our student board members have a report, I'm sure. Maddie and Nick.
Good evening to all. Is this working?
Yeah.
Okay, great. In June of 2015, we were elected by our peers as student liaisons to this board. While campaigning, we promised to advocate for reforms to improve student well-being, to communicate openly and often with the student body, and to update the student body before and after each meeting with key information about our progress to ensure that our peers could hold us accountable.
Specifically, students cared and still do about Option 2 PE exemptions, a later start to the school day, and improved mental health resources. We were extremely lucky to be elected at a time when the school district was orienting towards innovation, to strategic planning for the future, and to incorporating new voices into that discussion. Given this opportunity, we hope we were able to make headway on these fronts during the past year.
Our website, phsstudentliaisons.com, served as a central means of communication with the student body about the district's progress on initiatives like Option 2 and a later start. The corresponding monthly surveys allowed us to collect student input on a wide range of issues. As our term progressed, we also began to appreciate the value of data more and more. Over the past year, we gathered 1,641 responses to a total of 9 surveys. We thank every one of our peers who took the time to give us such thoughtful feedback and criticism. This feedback from a couple hundred students per month helped us speak accurately on our constituents' behalf and gave the district at large more insight into how we can improve student well-being as we move forward.
While we would love to claim involvement in the critical strides the board has made this year, we owe gratitude to the individuals and groups who advocated for new policies and to the board members and staff who approached these ideas with determination, compassion, and an open mind. We cannot understate the importance of the board's new policy guaranteeing equal rights for trans and gender nonconforming students. Homework-free weekends were another area where we hope we gave the board useful student feedback. In addition, we hope to convey the student body's gratitude for dedication of new resources towards the new counselor and the new psychology intern.
Despite this progress, our work as a district is not finished. The first step in addressing the causes and implications of a pressure-filled environment at the high school was recognizing the problem and agreeing that the physical and mental health and well-being of students is a core priority. Next, we needed to research, investigate, listen, and survey before committing to a concrete slate of policies to fight the problem. We sincerely hope that the stage where we think about solutions but halt before actually implementing them does not stretch beyond the time and thinking necessary to make an appropriately conscious plan. This stage should be part of, not a barrier to, implementing serious changes.
If anything, the research stage should be continuous. We should constantly be looking to improve the way we do things and playing with different ideas to see what works best. Simply talking about the problem is a necessary but insufficient measure to solving the problem. We reiterate our plea from last month for updates on the implementation of Option 2 and at least one experiment with a later start to the school day in the upcoming year.
At this point, we have witnessed a status quo that in many ways conflicts with our community's stated mission. Though critically important, our acknowledgement of the problem does not automatically make it disappear. We cannot overstate the importance of making serious changes as soon as possible.
Though the district is actively thinking about Option 2, it will still not be game over once that and similar initiatives are in place. We have far to go in terms of incorporating student voices and other unheard voices into the district's policy-making conversations. We appreciated when meetings of the Student Achievement Committee were scheduled for the afternoon as opposed to during the school day, and we were able to attend them and voice our own opinions. We are so lucky to be students in a district where students can sit at a table with board members.
Going forward, we hope the district can get more and more of the student body civically engaged, especially younger students, students of color, and students of greater economic diversity. Right now, the only students who can run for these seats are rising seniors. Student council elections also have no spending limits. The more voices that speak in our conversations, the better we can come to an understanding of the areas that most require our attention and spirit of innovation and problem solving as a district.
Lastly, we sincerely thank the superintendent, every member of this board, and the students, parents, faculty, administrators, and staff of this district for your remarkable and unending commitment to making Princeton Public Schools better each and every day.
Thank you.
Sorry, new microphones. You truly both have elevated the role of the student board representative this year many, many strata above where it ever has been. And that's nothing against any of the kids who ever served in your roles before, because they were all fabulous and they did a really good job and they personalized it in their own ways. But the way you have involved survey data in every monthly report was so valuable, I think, for every single board member to hear from you. It was really, really helpful. So I hope that you're able to spend a little time with your replacements before you graduate and ride off into the sunset, and train them a little bit about some of the things that you learned from your work so that they can continue it. Thank you very much. Okay, next, facilities.
I'm suffering with seasonal allergies, so I hope I can get through this. Facilities met on May 16th. I was not there, but I was brought up to speed by Stephanie Kennedy. Municipalities, the Dean of Stockton, safe routes to schools. Dean of Stockton's town engineer and resident Lisa, what is that? Lisa discussed the safe route to school federal grant the town is applying for. The committee supports the grant and will recommend a resolution of support for the May Board of Ed agenda. The water testing update, the Johnson Park Staff Lounge sink is and fountain outside retested and test came back fine. To be safe, and the faucets in the wings are being replaced. Faucets will be retested after placement. Construction status, Valley Road roof bid is open May 18th. Windows for 4 schools are on order, and architects will design the space plan for the life skills room, Princeton High School, and summer maintenance is being scheduled. For the 369 Witherspoon, trespassers video recorded in the Old Valley Road 369 Witherspoon Street building. Police involved in handling. Building will be boarded up and boards will be painted to match the building. The future of the building land will be considered with projects in the next referendum. Facilities use, John Witherspoon Student Kitchen. The committee reviewed a recommendation on a use-free schedule, suggested changes, and the topic will appear again on a future committee agenda. And our MDM settlement agreement, a final settlement on this case will be presented to the Board of Ed, to the full Board of Ed on May 24th agenda, which we will be doing later. The settlement payment of the Board of Ed will be $250,000. And as far as our public session, there wasn't anything but new topics. Tom Hagedorn asked if there was a general maintenance plan for routine scheduled maintenance. Gary Weissman explained that our maintenance tracking software has a notification of maintenance due to be performed and required inspection. He was asked about an energy plan for the district. He explained that we continually work on energy upgrades such as room occupancy lights, and we have replaced all light bulbs with modern efficiency types. Next facility meetings will be June 13th.
Thank you, Ms. Sproul. You got through it. Finance, Mr. Duran. Oh, Pat's going to do it. Okay, Mr. Sullivan.
The Finance Committee met this evening at 6 o'clock for a short meeting till 6:30, and we had, therefore, a short agenda. We approved the bills and other financial items that are in the agenda tonight. We also took another look at our itemized spending over the course of several years and started to talk about ways to plan more strategically for the future. And we had a short discussion about alternative financing arrangements and something that we will be continuing to focus on. The next meeting of the Finance Committee will be at 6 o'clock on June 14th, prior to the board meeting that night.
Thank you. Personnel, Ms. Krein, it's been a busy week, a busy month in personnel.
Yes, the Personnel Committee met 3 times in the last month. On May 2nd, the committee met to review reappointment and tenure candidates from the 6 schools in the district as well as Valley Road and reviewed the tenure ratios for each school. The committee listened to presentations from both principals and supervisors on non-tenured candidates eligible for tenure in the next school year, as well as first, second, and third year staff under consideration for reappointment. The committee asked questions and discussed candidates with the administrators. The committee met the following week on May 12th to continue the review of candidates in the mathematics and business education departments at both PHS and JW. Those being recommended for reappointment are on tonight's agenda, and those not being recommended were notified of the committee's decision before May 15th. The committee would like to thank Mr. Goldstein and his staff for the work that went on in this process. The committee has worked throughout the year to improve the review process, and the documents provided to the committee were not only helpful for this year's process, but they will serve future committees in the reappointment process as well. And I know a lot of work went into that, so we really thank you, Mr. Goldstein, for that. At the May 12th meeting, the committee was also given a draft of the job description for the Director of Communications and Website Operations to review before our next meeting The committee then met yesterday, May 23rd, and we reviewed the final list of reappointment decisions for first through fourth year staff, which is on tonight's agenda. We heard an update of a prior residency case and approved the recommendation of the District Student Services to rescind a resolution acted upon by the board at an earlier board meeting regarding the domicile of a student. The committee then reviewed and made revisions to a newly drafted job description. This time renamed the Coordinator of Communications and Website Management. The job description with revisions was recommended by the committee for approval on tonight's agenda. The committee reviewed and approved the scheduled dates for committee meetings for 2016 through 17 and reviewed the leaves of absence requests for May. The committee discussed the two recent administrative searches for a new humanities supervisor and the Riverside principal, and finalists have been identified in the search process. At all three meeting dates, the committee also discussed several confidential personnel matters. And our next meeting is Monday, June 13th at 8:45. And I believe Mr. Goldstein had something he wanted to address too.
Push the button. Okay. On the agenda tonight, we have two retirees, Joan Levin and Lynn Bridge. Lynn Bridge is a special education teacher at our high school. She's worked, in the district for about 10 years, and she was a learning disabilities teaching consultant prior to joining Princeton. And she started her work at Johnson Park Elementary and then transitioned with her students to John Witherspoon Middle School in September of 2009, and then transitioned with her students once again to Princeton High School in September 2012, where she's done a marvelous job of working with students with special needs and integrating the co-teaching model into the curriculum. And she has worked on many committees, and we'll miss her and wish her well in her retirement. Joan Levin, who is a special education aide at Riverside, is an icon in the community. Joan Levin is known best for being the former director of the Jewish Center in Princeton for 21 years. The Jewish Center renamed the nursery school the Joan Levin Nursery School in her honor in 2006. And she was coaxed into coming back out of retirement and into working for our school district and sharing her gifts with students. And she has done that so magnificently for the last 8 years. And the board basically wants to thank both of them for their contributions to the district during their many years of service, and we wish them well in their retirement.
Okay, next is Student Achievement Committee. The Student Achievement Committee met on May 13th and covered a few big items that probably are going to need more discussion and review over time. The first was we approved some overnight trips. Second, we had a presentation from the Student Services Director, Mickey Crisafulli, who talked about special education in general, in particularly topics included enrollment data, information about special ed and general ed collaboration and programming, pre-referral interventions, and all of the services and resources that we provide to the special ed community in our district. We discussed how the district is moving towards greater inclusion and co-teaching opportunities, and we'll probably be back to talk more about special education as the year progresses. Next, we heard from Tim Charleston, who is a supervisor of social studies, to share his update on the curriculum alignment in social studies and to address gaps and repetitions, as well as possible structural changes to the K-12 curriculum. He discussed potential connections with social studies and reading writing workshop, as well as ideas for re-envisioning Princeton history, integrating problem-based learning and connecting with service learning efforts, meaning connecting social studies to some of the service requirements, especially at the high school. Mr. Charleston also shared ideas for possible new courses at the high school and will revisit us next month with final recommendations for us to review. We reviewed a textbook. We discussed Scholastic Student Athlete Safety Act. And then we also heard from Senior Mark Petrovich, who shared his views about the need for option 2, which is for an option for student athletes in lieu of PE. Committee members listened to his concern and shared their eagerness for to see this option take place. That foots actually with a couple of things. One of the things that Maddie and Nick discussed, it's something that we on the committee feel strongly that should happen. Happened in my high school when I was in high school. Can be done. Lived through it. I'm doing fine today. So it's possible to be done, and we really hope to show Maddie and Nick and the other students who have been involved in the process of school board management this year that you can get change to happen. We hope that's the lesson that you guys take away, and not that nothing can be done. So hopefully one day we will have the Maddie and Nick Memorial option 2, and maybe the Maddie and Nick Memorial revised school schedule. The next meeting of the Student Achievement Committee will be June 10th at 12:30 p.m. here in this building.
Thank you. Policy Committee, Mr. Hagedorn. Where are you? There
Thank
you.
you. The Policy Committee met on Thursday, May 11th at 9 a.m. The committee reviewed input on Policy 1230.1 on disclosure of personnel decisions. That revised policy, with an addition concerning the financial impact of personnel decisions, is on tonight's agenda for a second reading. The committee also approved a policy 5539 on dyslexia screening. It is having its first reading on tonight's agenda. The committee also continued discussions on revisions to the district's electronic communication recording devices policy, and we expect to have a first reading of that policy at the June meeting. The Policy Committee will meet next at 8:45 a.m. on Thursday, June 9th here at Valley Road, and the public is invited to attend.
Thank you. Okay, we always have 2 opportunities for public comment at every meeting. The first one is now, and it is limited to comments by any member of the public that are related to agenda items only. That would include personnel agenda items. So I'm just going to say something as a sort of general caveat to everybody who wants to come up to the microphone. I'm going to give every speaker 3 minutes, one time, 3 minutes at a time. You can't cede your time to somebody else to give them 6 minutes. We don't operate like Parliament here. I will caution everybody that the board members this is an opportunity for us to hear from the public. We are not permitted to make any comments or answer any questions about personnel-related matters. And I know that's very frustrating sometimes, but that is the law that we are bound by. I'm also going to tell everybody to remember that your First Amendment right, you're exercising your First Amendment rights, and the board does not censor the comments of anybody who comes to speak to us. But you are still subject to the laws surrounding slander and libel, defamation. So it's very important to keep any comments you have, positive. You have to be very careful not to repeat negative things about somebody that you may have heard, even if it's something that you're saying because you disagree with it. The board is not responsible for the comments made by any member of the public, but we just want to make sure that you are well aware of the requirements on you as you exercise your First Amendment rights here. So with that, I will welcome any member of the public to come to the microphone. I'm going to time you on my phone. I'll give you a little warning when you're getting near your 3-minute mark. Please just come to the microphone and state your name.
My name is Katie Griffin. Clearly tonight we have a pretty big group, and we're all here for the same reason. We just want to show support for Mr. Hockmeister, who to some of us is our teacher, to some our coach, and to a few neither. The reason that I'm speaking tonight is because I would like the administration to fully understand the mistake that they have made in going to these lengths. Over the past several months, it has become evident to me that Mr. Hockmeister cares more about our success in class. He truly possesses a concern for the well-being of each and every one of his students. This relationship between a teacher and his students is very hard to find at Princeton High School, and I think that it is a shame that with the decision of not re-signing his contract for the next year, that this will be lost. With this decision, Princeton High School will be losing not only an enthusiastic educator, but also an incredible coach, a friend, and a role model to many. It is clear that a mistake has been made when the jaws of 20 classmates drop, when they hear the news that their teacher, who himself is struggling to hold back his own tears, has been asked to not return the following year. It is clear that something isn't right when students are signing petitions, sending letters, and standing up tonight, like I'm doing, in a hope that they can make some sort of a change. I personally would like to share my opinion that with this decision, sorry, it's a very passionate topic. Let me just refer to my paper here. As Mr. Hackmeister delivered the news to my class, as he is my teacher, as I may not have mentioned, he kept repeating that he owed it to us to give everything he had for the rest of the year, that he owed it to us to get through this very difficult time for him because his students are his priority. But I am here tonight because I owe my support to him. My fellow peers and I are here tonight because we owe this to him. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm going to start off by saying that my speech is 3.5 minutes long. I hope that's okay. All right. All right. Good evening. I'm Fleur Heartman, junior at Princeton High School and a captain of the cross-country and track team. In coming here today, those standing behind me, those who signed our petition, and I have come to show you the impact that one individual has had on our lives. A positive impact, that is. To some, Mr. Hackmeister is a coach, while for others, he is a teacher. Mr. Hackmeister is one of the coaches of the cross-country and track teams, and his value to the team is unmeasurable. I'll begin by saying his value to me, the impact he's had on me. A couple months ago, the girls' track team was having arguments. You could say there was a lot of tension. I, being one of the captains, blamed the issues on me. I felt like I wasn't doing my job as the leader for the team. Coach Hackmeister saw my distress towards the situation and followed by talking to me for an hour after practice. A talk I'll always remember because it reminded me that I matter, that I'm good at my job. Coach Hackmeister has that effect on people. He reminds them of their value. Not a lot of people take the time to do that. Not only that, but is he the reason I was able to do so well in my pre-calculus course this year. Every day, when I've needed his help for any of my homework, he's given me all the time necessary to help me understand the material. This showed in my grade as it went up from a B- to an A-. The best part about what I've just told you, Coach Hackmeister isn't even my teacher. But I trust him as he is as good of a teacher as he is a coach. Never did he deny me help, because he wants his students and athletes to succeed. He's done everything in his power to put us before him. He spends about 4 to 9 hours a day at our practices or meets. Last June, he drove down 11 hours to watch some of his athletes compete at nationals. A couple Fridays ago, he drove 3 of his athletes an hour away to give them an opportunity to compete in a meet. The meet was in the pouring rain and 40-degree weather. He supported the team when we had a race during the hurricane last October. I could continue on and on, but I think you get the point. Coach Hackmeister is always there. His support for the team is unconditional. Not only has the decision to let Mr. Hackmeister go created issues within the coaching staff, as no one could replace someone like Coach Hackmeister, but it has broken bonds between him and his athletes, bonds that aren't easy to make or find. As high school students, it's difficult to create bonds between our teachers and coaches, but with Mr. Hackmeister, it's easy. We can trust him, we depend on him, and we value his presence continually. Being the young and fun coach he is, we look up to him. He's our role model in the ways he's one of the most hardworking, committed, and kindest people we have ever met. I can easily say there is no one here tonight who disagrees with what I have just said. The short time that the student body has found out he was leaving has led to many tears, sad emails from parents, poems, and all of these signatures on our petition. We have 305 signatures. Clearly, the decision has shaken Princeton High School as a whole. Please acknowledge the mistake you have made as you see that the people standing behind me today should not be pleading for a coach and teacher not to leave us at the end of the year. It's unfair to us and most of all to him. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Samuel Auerbach. I am a freshman at Princeton High School. I am a student in Mr. Hackmeister's class and an athlete on the track team and cross-country team. So I've been with him all year, twice a day, almost every single day. And I will personally attest to the fact that he is one of the greatest, if not the greatest teacher I have ever encountered so far in my years of education. Simply put, you're not going to find anyone who's going to replace him who will be nearly as caring or as connected to his students. When you go to his classes, you see he gets respect out of his students, not by being tough or hard or punishing, but because he is your friend and he wants you to succeed. And everyone respects him for that reason. When he announced that he was quitting to the track team, there were tears. People were crying. That's got to mean something, right? I'm usually a very anxious person. I have had a lot of trouble going to meets, competing in them. But Mr. Hackmeister, he's been there. He's told me that I can do it. He's helped me through it. He's helped me through hard times. He's been there for good times. I'm going to keep it short. And I really can't say anything more than you will not find a better teacher, coach, friend, mentor than Mr. Hackmeister. Thank you.
Hello. This is on? Okay. Sorry. My name is Noah Chen, and I'm a senior at Princeton High School, and I'm here to support not only a teacher or a coach, but a friend to almost everyone. I had the honor for 2 years to be an athlete under Mr. Hackmeister, or as I call Coach Hack. Hack is a man who sets goals that others strive to even come in the realm of being close to. He's a man that I deeply respect and gravely look up to. He's a mentor to students and athletes alike. He's a man that I can go into his office at break to talk to about how to approach a teacher I have a question with, or how I should solve homework problems, or even just someone that I can go into to talk about sports scores when I'm having a bad day. I mean, a concern of another is more important to him than his own. He really cares about everyone, and it's a shame what's going to be happening to him next year. And yeah, he's a man that changed my high school career in the past 2 years of my life. I can't even say for the better, because it's been much more than that. It's been an honor to be with him. And I'd like to end my 3 minutes, or around 3 minutes, by saying that I do not agree with the board's decision with next year's or the future employment of Mr. Hackmeister at Princeton Regional Schools, especially a man that fully embodies his school motto, learn to live, or live to learn and learn to live. It's always hard to get those two, but with that, I'd like to say that. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Aidan Donahue. I'm an athlete on Coach Hack's team, and I would like to speak about some of the values that he brings to the team and why the decision to let him go is an absolute mistake of the highest caliber. I have experienced 5 coaches in my time at Princeton High School. I'm a senior. Coach Woodside, Coach Rylack, Coach Shelley, Coach Smirk, and Coach Hack. And of all of them, no one has had a personal connection on the level that Coach Hack has with his athletes. He's almost a member of the team with how close he is to us. But also, he's more than that. He's a mentor. He goes out on the track and runs workouts while we are too. Like, we see him sweat, we see him work, and he's nothing but a role model to us. And he's I just, there's nothing to say. I just think this is a terrible mistake and that it needs to be considered. So, thank you.
Hi, I'm Nick Delaney. I'm a sophomore on the Princeton High School track and field and cross country teams, and being a sophomore and being his Hack second year here, I was new and he was new. And when the team was going through leadership issues early on in my career here, it was huge experience with us. And I think as the season went on my freshman year, he really helped us develop a bond. And like Ann Fleur said with the girls team, there was no one who provided more support than he did. And towards the end of my freshman year, I broke my foot in the peak of my season. And that, I really questioned my will to continue the sport because that was heartbreaking for me. But over the summer, every single day for weeks at a time, Coach Hack was sending me messages, workouts I could do in the pool, anything I could do to improve my fitness for the upcoming season so I could keep running and keep improving. And, he wasn't getting paid for that. He wasn't doing that to impress anybody. He was doing it for me. And to know that I could have someone work with me on that level and care that much about me and know that I'm not the only one he cares that much about is something really special to me. And I didn't prepare anything, so I don't have much more to say than that, but all I gotta say is that I want him back.
Hello, I'm Andrew Goldsmith. I am a junior from Princeton High School. I'm in Mr. Hackmeister's pre-calculus class, 7th period. And I would just like to agree with all the other comments and say I truly believe it has been a horrible mistake with the decision. And one of my reasons I believe that is at a school like PHS, where I have found, and many have agreed, that it's a very difficult and rigorous school and very stressful one at times. I think that's one of the things that we are looking to change. A teacher like Mr. Hackmeister has had the ability on me, which very few other teachers, if any others, have had. That every day I look forward to going to his class, not only to learn math, because he has turned that into my favorite subject, but to just talk to him as a person. He's one of the greatest guys I've ever met. He's not only a teacher to me, but a great mentor. A couple weeks ago when I was probably going through one of the toughest times in my life, Mr. Hackmeister was the first person I saw every day, and he would ask me how I was doing, making sure I was improving, both mentally and in his class. And I'd just like to say it was a horrible decision that has not only affected me, but many others. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Liumi Kim, and I'm a senior on the cross-country and track and field teams. And I also was a student of Mr. Hackmeister's last year in pre-calculus. So I just wanted to start with saying that, first of all, as a student of his, Mr. Hackmeister helped me from going, well, first of all, from a regular pre-calculus class to being very comfortable and a good student in an AP Calc class the next year, which I can say, and many other students can say, that that is not the easiest things to do. And I think that Mr. Hackmeister really set me up for a great senior year and a strong math class the next year. And I just wanted to share a little personal story about Mr. Hack and I. I do a certain event in track and field that is not very common, and it's called the steeplechase, and finding enough support and finding the good coaching for that is very difficult because it's not an event that's very popular in New Jersey. And Mr. Hackmeister has helped me find the resources that made me a better athlete. He helped me train with an athlete that is professional in the field, and that helped me qualify for nationals, be the person that I am today. And I feel like taking that away from the athletes that he can help in the future is wrong, and it is hurting them. So that's it. Thank you.
Anybody else with public comment?
My name's, we good? Yeah. Microphone's good. Jim Smirk, I'm a teacher at Princeton High School. Been employed in Princeton School District for 15 years. You have heard stories from students and athletes about the positive contribution that William Hackmeister has had on the community of Princeton. I also need to voice my support for him as a colleague and a coach. He's an individual of immense character that has provided the community with a positive educational impact in the classroom and on the track as well. Certainly, he is not a master of this process yet. To say that any individual at any time in their career has mastered this completely, I think is false. And so if we can't be perfect in what we do, we look at growth in that process. And William Hackmeister has continued to grow throughout his career, both as a teacher and a coach and a mentor. That growth has been continual and impressive. I know this because it has happened, I've had the chance to observe this on bus rides and during meals and during phone calls about not only what we were going to do as a coaching staff to help our athletes grow themselves and become better athletes, but also how a classroom was going to be managed better to give them better educational opportunities, how to engage them from the moment they walk in the door, not to his classroom, but to the school. As a individual who has walked the often difficult process of becoming tenured and then continually to grow through that process and become a better teacher myself, I wish that as early in my career, I went through the stages that he went through. It is difficult to find individuals of this character, and I understand that this process is one that is continually growing in its own right about personnel. But I think in this case, we need to reflect on that decision and decide whether that growth is in a positive direction for this district. I understand that the decisions that are made of personnel are important, and certainly as an individual who will be working in this district for a long time, I expect that the colleagues that I work with are of the best that we can find. But to think that they should be the best the day they walk in the door versus the idea of making them the best they can be is one that we need to take a look at. Coach Hackmeister has the ability to become our best. And I think we've forgotten that and we've missed that. If we need to, we have to take those moments to step back and understand what that growth is and how do we accomplish that. And if we're not willing to work with our youngest teachers in finding that process and finding that system that allows them to do that, then we need to truly understand that what we're doing is a mistake. I think that's my time.
My name's Bill Hare. I have a son in 10th grade on the cross-country and track team, and you know, my experience with Coach Hack has been really good. I was really surprised today when I found out that this meeting was going on. You know, I think maybe, you know, Coach Hack, well, if he doesn't come back next year, another school will get him. He'll do a great job there, and they'll be really lucky. But maybe we could just keep him here. So I guess I propose a motion that the Personnel Committee go back and reassess this. Do I hear a second? Pardon? Oh, you guys can do better than that. Okay, so how often are you going to get a bunch of high school boys up here crying about a teacher? So, you know, my experiences with them have been really good. I have a 6th grader and an 8th grader. They'll be at the high school. I was looking forward to them running on track and cross country with them. So I do hope that you guys will reconsider your decision. Yeah, when you get a crowd like this, so thanks.
Anybody else? Okay. Moving on in our agenda. Thank you, I should say. Thank you all very much.
Very much.
We appreciate it. Items J. Item J1 is a policy on for first reading, which is not up for a vote. Mr. Hagedorn mentioned it in his policy committee report. Is there any comments or questions about item J1? May I have a motion for item J2, second reading and approval of policy 1230.1? Tom, second. Justin, thank you. Any discussion? All in favor? Thank you. Moving on to item K, personnel. May I have a motion for item K1, which are the personnel actions listed in attachment K1? Molly, thank you. Connie, second. Thank you. Ms. Kennedy, this is a roll call vote.
Andrea Spalla.
Yes.
Patrick Sullivan.
So just a question, we're doing K1 and then K2 and
Just
then K3?
K1. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to abstain.
Sorry, I think I caught Vern's throat. Sorry about that. Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Molly Crine.
Yes.
Justin Durant.
Yes.
Tom Hagedorn.
Abstain.
Daphne Kendall.
Yes.
Evelyn Spahn.
Yes.
Fern Sproul.
Yes.
And Connie Witter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Moving on to item K2. I'm ready for a motion on agenda item K2. Ms. Crine, second. Justin, thank you.
Andrew Spalla.
Yes.
Patrick Sullivan.
Abstain.
Betsy Calber Baglio.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
Molly Crine.
Yes.
Justin Duran.
Yes.
Tom Hagedorn.
Abstain.
Daphne Kendall.
Abstain.
Evelyn Spahn.
Yes.
Fern Sproul.
Yes.
And Connie Witter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Sorry. I can't get this mic to work. Could I go on the record retroactively? I know it doesn't count as just opposing K1.
You know what, Maddie? I think this isn't the right time. I'm sorry.
Okay. Thank you.
If you want to wait until the end and make a statement in public comment, that would be the right time. Okay, thank you. May I have a motion for item K3, which is the revised version of the job title of Coordinator of Communications and Website Management? Molly? And second, Betsy, thank you.
Andrea Spalla.
Yes.
Patrick Sullivan.
Yes.
Betsy Calber Baglio.
Yes.
Molly Crine.
Yes.
Justin Duran.
Yes.
Tom Hagedorn.
Yes.
Daphne Kendall.
Yes.
Evelyn Spahn.
Yes.
Fern Sproul.
Yes.
And Connie Witter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. May I have a motion for item K4? Justin, any seconds? Tom, thank you. Item K4.
Got it. Okay. Andrea Spalla.
Yes.
Patrick Sullivan.
Yes.
Betsy Baglio.
Yes.
Molly Crine.
Yes.
Justin Doran.
Yes.
Tom Hagedorn.
Yes.
Daphne Kendall. Excuse me. I'm sorry, Daphne.
K4.
K4.
Yes.
Evelyn Spahn.
Yes.
Fern Sproul.
Yes.
And Connie Witter.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Item K5 has been pulled for consideration at a later meeting. So moving on to item, yes?
Before we leave item K, I just have a question about process. Is this the appropriate time to?
I'm not sure. It depends on the question.
Oh no, it's not a personnel related question, but it's about item K and the process around that. And I'd just like to understand something that I recently learned just a couple hours ago about the May 15th deadline. Lou, could you explain what's the significance of May 15th that you mentioned a little while ago, and how that would impinge on if there was something in item K that we wanted to vote against, if there were a particular individual that we wanted to change our vote on, what would be the May 15th deadline that's already passed? How would that affect that vote?
Well, the May 15th deadline is a statutory deadline set by the state in code, and basically what it addresses is that any individual who is not going to be recommended for reappointment in the following school year has to receive notification of such intent, by the board by May 15th.
So having this on a May 24th agenda, if we wanted to not approve someone who was up for recommendation, it would be too late to do that. Is that correct?
That's not actually accurate.
Okay, I'm just trying to understand.
Right. So the board's vote tonight is a ratification of a process that was underway at the beginning of the month, undergone by the Personnel Committee, and the tradition and the practice of this board and the bylaws of this board state that this board delegates authority to its own Personnel Committee to make those decisions, to hear the recommendations of the administrators, and then to make the recommendations to the full board. So what we are voting on tonight is the work that has been done by our delegated committee members.
Okay. I would like to suggest for next year that this be on our agenda prior to May 15th, so that if anyone had a disagreement with anything that was on here, that we would have time to give notice to the appropriate people. Otherwise, it doesn't seem that it has a lot of effect. So just a suggestion for next year that we change our timing a little bit so that we can have more of a say in what in how things actually develop. That was my comment.
Thank you. Moving on to item L1 through 10, including the orange attachment that was handed out to board members at the beginning of the night. May I have a motion? Molly, thank you. Second, Justin. All in favor? Of course. About, which item are you talking about, Ms.? Oh, are we allowed to talk about the residency case? Oh, okay. Yeah, I believe that they actually took up residence in Princeton.
Right.
Subsequent?
Yes.
Yes. So it wasn't a mistake, it was a change in status. Okay. So we have a motion and a seconded motion for items L1 through 10 on the table. All in favor? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay. May I have a motion for agenda items M1 through 22, except with the exclusion of M6, which will be tabled for a future meeting? So M1 through 22 without 6. Justin, second? Anyone? Molly, thank you. Any discussion, Mrs. Kennedy or Gary? Do you want to talk about why we're pulling item M6?
Pretty simple. The change order that was initially included here in the agenda. I have some questions about how the number was arrived and whether or not what the architect identified is really as accurate as I think it should be. So I think it's just a misunderstanding on their part. So I feel more comfortable pulling it. And having another discussion with them to make sure that what we're going to present to you guys, if we need to, is more accurate.
Great, thank you. Okay. All in favor? Abstain? Did I call the vote too soon, Deb?
I would like to ask a question about item 7.
Okay, well, hold on, let's, shoot. Item M7?
Yes.
Okay,
It's been mentioned.
okay. Mrs. Kennedy, how do we need to handle this?
She can answer, it's discussion.
Oh, but even though I've already called for a vote and people have raised their hands?
Oh.
All right, fine, sorry.
Sorry.
It's okay, I'll wait a little longer before I call for a vote.
So is this a year-to-year contract with,
Is this a year-to-year contract with NutriServe?
It's a 5-year renewable contract, so it's
Okay.
5 years renewable annually.
Okay. So, last year, we had some issues with them not providing sick days to their, to the staff that works at our schools. Do we know if anything was done about that? And I do apologize for bringing it up at this late date.
No, it's
Their-
totally,
their
it's a
contract
great
was-
question. I'm sorry I didn't give you a chance to
Mhm.
ask your question before I called for the vote. I think they settled their.
They settled their
Chartwell settled their-
negotiations.
God, Chartwell, what am I saying?
Yeah.
NutriServe settled their
NutriServe settled
contract
with
with
the
their
union.
their
And so-
employees' union.
So are we confident that are we happy, is the district happy with how those employees are being treated?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
No more the concerns have been resolved?
I would say yes.
The
correct?
contract's been resolved, and I'm very
Okay.
happy with the service, and I think the employees are happy with the work
with
that
the
they're
company.
doing for this company.
Okay, great, thank you.
Any other discussion or questions on items M1 through 22-6? Okay, hearing none now, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, old business, new business. May I have a motion for items N1 and 2. This includes, N2 is the resolution supporting the grant that was discussed by Ms. Spruill in her Facilities Committee report. Motion N1 and 2, Justin, thank you. Second. Connie, thank you. Any discussions or questions? Okay. All in favor? Unanimous, thank you. Okay, we now come to our second of our 2 public comment opportunities. This public comment forum is for any members of the public to say anything they like to the board about any matters that are not on the agenda. Okay, I think I'm going to take that as nobody has anything else to say. So may I have a motion for adjournment? Justin, and second Molly. Thank you. All in favor? Unanimous. Thank you very much. We're adjourned.